बाल गजानन विद्या बुद्धि प्रदाता विद्या बुद्धि प्रदाता मंगल कर हे मंगल कर हे मंगल कर हे मंगल कर हे सुंदर साई गणेशा गणेशा सुंदर साई गणेशा पशुपति तनया बाल गजानन तुम हो विघ्न विनाशा गणेशा हे शिवनंदन बाल गजानन विद्या बुद्धि प्रदाता मंगल कर हे मंगल कर हे सुंदर साई गणेशा गणेशा सुंदर साई गणेशा पशुपति तनया बाल गजानन गंगाधर हर गौरी शिवा गंगाधर हर गौरी शिवा गंगाधर हर गौरी शिवा गंगाधर हर गौरी शिवा शंभो शंकर सांब शिवा शंभो शंकर सांब शिवा शंभो शंकर सांब शिवा शंभो शंकर सांब शिवा जय पर शिवा शंभो शंकर सांब शिवा गंगाधर कर गौरी शिवा बाल गोपाल जय जय साई श्याम 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 प्रेम भरो दिल में हमारे साई राम 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 हमारे साई राम बड़े प्यारे 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 साई राम प्रेम भरो दिल में हमारे साई राम प्रेम भरो दिल में हमारे साई राम हम भक्तों के तुम एक 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 साई राम तुम्हारे जगत में बड़ा प्यारा प्यारा नाम 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 संग रहो हरदम हमारे साई राम 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 संग रहो हमारे साई राम संग रहो हमारे साई राम सदा संग रहो हमारे साई राम सदा संग रहो हमारे साई राम बाल गोपाल जय जय साई श्याम बाल गोपाल जय जय साई श्याम प्रेम भरो दिल में हमारे साई राम प्रेम भरो दिल में हमारे साई राम हमारे साई राम बड़े प्यारे साई राम हमारे साई राम बड़े प्यारे साई राम प्रेम भरो दिल में हमारे साई राम प्रेम भरो दिल में हमारे साई राम हम भक्तों के तुम एक साई राम हम भक्तों के तुम एक साई राम तुम्हारे जगत में बड़ा प्यारा प्यारा नाम तुम्हारे जगत में बड़ा प्यारा प्यारा नाम संग रहो हरदम हमारे साई राम
very, very honored that the Jakarta Sai Center has invited me to share with you all and talk to you all about mental health. And that's basically the only lecture we're going to get. And after this, we're going to go into the questions and answers that you all have sent. And so I'll give it back to the organizers to start with the first questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister. So for the first question, how can we know if we are having a mental disease or not? Thank you.
Okay, I think I did cover this a little bit in my opening statement. How do you know you have a mental disease? Are you functional? If, like, say somebody has passed on, and they've passed on 6 months ago, everybody else in your family is okay, but sometimes you come back home, you know, when you're quiet, you cry, you have a breakdown, but you're functional, you're going to work, you're looking after your kids, you're doing what you need to do. You know, grief takes a longer time for certain people. For certain people, it can be faster. But somehow or another, nowadays, everybody thinks it must be McDonald's fast food style. You know, everybody must go through life fast. Everybody must solve things fast. When you know you have a mental problem, when it's starting to interfere with your daily functioning, that you feel that your quality of life is starting to go down. It's starting to disrupt your quality of life. But if you find that just at certain times of the day, you feel up, you feel off, you feel upset, and then after that, you're back to normal. As long as that doesn't expand and expand, it's okay. You know, that sometimes we need time to process things. Sometimes we need time to take a break. Sometimes, you know, we just need exercise, or we need to change our food, or we need to go out with our friends a little bit, and it will start to heal itself. But you have you may be having a mental problem when your daily functioning is basically damaged. That is the easiest way for people to see whether there's a mental issue. Next question. By the way, I'm actually quite casual about people interrupting, and so do feel free to interrupt. If not, I feel like I'm alone in the room and it's a bit weird. So I'm in the audience. You know, if you have something to ask or you have something to say, you know, please do raise your hand and come in. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
The second question is a bit lengthy, so bear with me. What are the early signs of mental health risk, and how should we address it? If we have a loved one that may be suffering with mental health problems, such as possibly a borderline personality disorder, how can we help and support them? Sometimes they are extremely enraged and filled with so much anger, and we do not know what triggered it, and are constantly living in fear that we may become suicidal, as they have attempted in the past. How can we make things easier, or understand better, or make them feel better about themselves and life, and help them realize that they are very much loved?
Okay, this one went from 0 to 100. So I'm going to actually say this right now. A trigger warning. I have to say a trigger warning for everybody. I'm going to be talking about some pretty straightforward and straight talk on psychology that may upset some people, or you may disagree. I am not, I'm not a saint. I'm just a practicing psychologist and counselor, and these are my opinions. In some ways, it's a professional opinion. But if you feel that you're totally against it, feel free. I mean, please, Sairam, you're totally free to have your own opinion on anything. But more importantly, because the word suicide comes in here, I do want to say this. If you find that you're getting emotionally overwhelmed by what I'm talking about at any point in time, feel free to leave. Don't worry, I won't be upset. I'm not going to be insulted if you all need to take a break from the session, because as the session goes on, I am going to be talking about certain issues which are emotional and maybe sensitive to some people, and I will go there. I will be talking about things that people don't usually talk about, because it comes under mental health. And if you all ask me any questions, I will do my best to answer, all right, within the time that we have. So how can you know that you're having a mental disease or not? Like I said earlier, it was your functionality, and then the level of functionality as it gets worse and worse and worse. The more you are dysfunctional in your daily life, the more you are probably having mental health issues. Now, whether you realize it or not, once you hit a certain point, you may not realize it anymore. It's same like if you're the kind who overeats or doesn't eat. So say like someday you're so busy that whole day and you don't realize that you're not eating. Suddenly then, you're not eating until suddenly you've got, your stomach starts cramping, you're getting gastric, you get a gastric attack, or you get some physical pain. At that point, you're considered sick. Similar to mental health. Initially, they'll be like small, they'll be like, obvious things. Then other people will notice it. You stop noticing it because you get used to it. And then, some people may tell you, you may want to look at this and you go, no, 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 I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, until you actually get sick. And then everybody knows it and you may not even know that you're sick. So that's the danger. So usually when you're having some issues, try to deal with it as part of life. We all have issues. It's same like physical issues. If you have a headache, just lie down for a while and deal with it. You can't do too many things at the same time. So monitoring sometimes how you behave, monitoring, knowing yourself enough to know that I am overstressed, I am overwhelmed, and I'm getting angry for no reason, and noticing that, I'm losing my temper. I shouldn't be losing my temper. I'm better than this. Why am I losing my temper so often? Okay, then you need to go and see what's causing the loss of temper. So that awareness of what you're doing, the awareness of I am becoming somebody I don't like. I'm becoming somebody I don't want to be. That is actually one of the best ways that you know that you have mental disorder. If not, it's going to hit that point where you don't know that you have it. And that's what you mean by borderline personality disorder. So borderline personality disorder is one of the most dangerous disorders out there because the level of suicide among people with this disorder is extraordinarily high. Borderline personality disorders, whether they are able to actually process love when they are in a state is questionable. They can be dangerous, and there have been situations where instead of turning it on themselves, they turn it on people around them. Even though they love the person, and even though that behind the disease, they might love the person, but it is a disease. That person's willpower will not stop them from doing what they're doing. It's not that they don't want to remember, or they don't want to reach you, or they can't. It's like somebody with a broken leg, and it's somebody like who's got a broken leg, and that person wants to help somebody who's fallen down, and they can't reach the person who's fallen down. They just can't. The leg will just stop them from doing it. Here, the brain is stopping them from doing it. The most complex organ in our body is stopping them from doing it. In the case of borderline personality disorder, please go and see, a psychiatrist, get proper support, make sure you're supported. And you may have to have some very hard decisions, because if the person is suicidal is one thing. If they're getting violent with other family members, that is something else. And you may have to look at 24-hour care, whether if you can afford to have it within your home, or whether it has to be, in a separate location. But at certain points, 24-hour care is needed. One of the things that you have with borderline personality disorders or serious disorders is a lot of them like a very strict routine. And anything that disrupts that routine can set them off, but it does come out in different ways according to the case. So sometimes that routine, having a routine that is not disrupted helps. But for the rest of us, having that routine 24/7, without support is very hard. And it can make us feel like, we are, what can you do? Here's what most of you all have done. If anybody's in a case of being a caregiver, my grandmother had high levels of depression. She wasn't violent, but she was stuck on the bed. 24-hour care, she needed it. And I was a caregiver. And being a caregiver of somebody with a mental disorder is draining, and it's tiring, and you feel like you're trapped and you've got no choice. For those who are caregivers of people under, whether they are, elderly or sick or whatever, let me honestly tell you something. You have a choice. You made the hard choice. Stop telling yourself, I have no choice. What you've actually done in the situation is you've made the hard choice to stick it out and to help this person as much as you can. And sometimes if that hard choice has to change to a different choice, it has to change, because circumstances, you must protect the whole family. You must protect yourself. And sometimes, if two people go mentally disturbed, it doesn't help anybody. So For caregivers, please understand that you're making the hard choice when you're looking after people who are sick. So do take some time to care for yourself. And I can guarantee you, like I said, I'm going to say some pretty, I'm going to say some pretty harsh things here. There will be family members who are not looking after, who will come after you and attack you. There'll be family members who are close family members who will turn on you, the caregiver, and they will say what you're supposed to do and what you're doing wrong. But somehow they will never be there to do it. You have to understand that that's them using you as a punching bag for their guilt. They are feeling guilty because they didn't make the hard choice. You did. So for all the caregivers out there who've ever experienced something like this, please don't feel alone. Please don't feel that, you're trapped. You've made the hard choice. Please be proud of yourself for making that hard choice. And when family members punch down on you, because it's a Sai group, I'll say it. If it's a non-Sai group, I wouldn't say this. It's a Sai group, I'm going to say, forgive them. If you can forgive them, or at least just offer that anger you have to Swami, because understand that it is their guilt that's doing it. They're not right, they're in the wrong, but it's their guilt that's doing it. Please do not absorb it into yourself and then be more stressed out on top of being a caregiver. I know I didn't exactly answer about borderline personality, because this would be a psychiatric case. So for the family, you do need to come together, and I will definitely warn you that borderline personality and suicide does go hand in hand. There's not much that you can do about it, because inside the brain, it needs that medicine. It needs some more drugs. It needs support. And at this point, no talk therapy can go through borderline personality disorder. That's the honest truth about it. Okay. So I'm very sorry to have to tell this, and I'm very sorry for the family that's going through this. It is very hard. I hope you all, I hope you find the strength to do whatever you need to do to make sure the whole family is functional, happy, and can move forward. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Next question. Next question, please. No, that's a hard one.
Okay. Next one is, the idea of seeking help from a psychologist or psychiatrist is still considered a taboo, especially in our community. How do we solve this?
You got to understand that it's not a bad thing. I mean, like I said just now, it is literally something is wrong inside the brain. Why is it a taboo? It's a taboo last time because we thought people were possessed by spirits, or something bad was. That's why it's a punishment from God. It's no more punishment from God than COVID. It's no more punishment from God than getting cancer. It's no more punishment from anything than having something physically wrong with the body. I mean, you can say it's karma, but karma doesn't mean that you don't do anything about it and you don't go and get help and get support. And it doesn't mean you're weak. It just means that maybe you don't have some tools to deal with what's going on. You don't have the knowledge to deal with what's going on. And, that can be learned, and that can, and counselors, psychiatrists, they can help you get that, or you can learn psychology. This is actually, as somebody who teaches classes in psychology and masters in counseling and all that, or learn psychology. Because the funny thing is, when you learn how to understand how your mind works, and it actually does help you overcome your issues. It's when you learn about developmental issues and all that, because then we see we're not alone. A lot of human beings have problems. It's just some people hide it better, and most of us don't like to show people we've got issues. But please, the taboo needs to die, because people need help, and help can come in many ways. Okay, next please.
I have to agree with you completely. I think a lot of people are scared to admit it and to see it that way. And actually, if they take that one step, they're getting themselves closer to being cured, and not even seeing as anxiety or depression or even suicide as an option, because they're able to understand themselves better. Is that right?
Yep. I mean, there's a huge amount of power in understanding yourself. Right. And sometimes the process of understanding yourself, you have to go into the mechanics of it, and you have to understand it from, the perspectives of health, mental health, not just spiritual aspects, but mental health aspects. So that's where, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the next question, there is a saying, you can't change the society, but you can control how to react to them. Mm-hmm. What are some tips that you can share to practice controlling our reaction?
Okay. Just before that, somebody asked, is borderline personality disorder, is it a biochemical imbalance? Yeah. Borderline personality disorder is a biochemical imbalance. It may be that they may be damage to the brain, like physical damage at some point when they were younger. It may be triggered by I'm going to say it. It may have been triggered by drug abuse in early life, but there's definitely biochemicals involved and the brain involved. The physical brain structure may have been damaged in an accident or something like that. So that is actually borderline personality. Okay, so you can't change society, but you can control how you react to them. So this is one of my favorite things when talking about anger. And I'm just going to ask people just to know whether you all are asleep or awake. So I'm actually going to ask for a reaction here. So can you all, in the reaction comments of your button, there's either the clap or the thumbs up. Can any of you all have ever said, I mean, I know some of you all now very spiritual, you're very holy, you never lose your temper. But, when you're younger and all that, if you've ever said, I know I cannot control my temper, I lose my temper. Can you just put a thumbs up that you've ever said that before? I lose my temper, I cannot control my temper. Okay. So for everybody who's brave enough to put a thumbs up, and for those of us who have forgotten what it was like to be teenager, okay, because generally all of us have been teenagers before, I'm going to ask you a question. When you say you cannot control your temper and want to lose your temper, at that moment when you're really angry, if your principal, Swami, or somebody whose respect you want walked into the door, would you control your temper or would you continue losing your temper? If you say you cannot control your temper, have you ever yelled at your boss? If the answer is, I've never yelled at my boss. If the answer is, oh my God, if Swami walked in, I'll definitely stop shouting. If the answer is, my boss walked in, of course I'll stop shouting. If somebody I respect walked in, I'll stop, of course I'll stop shouting. How then can you not control your temper? So the answer is actually, you choose to lose your temper in situations where people love you enough or people care about you enough to forgive you for losing your temper, or they are not as powerful as you. So if you lose your temper with them, there's no repercussions. But when there are other people there where there are going to be repercussions, suddenly you can control your temper. This is actually the story of, taken to the extreme, this is the behavior of abusers. That's why other people never know when people are abuser, because they don't lose their temper in the outside world. They lose their temper with the people who are weakest with them, who have got no voice, who are scared to go out. So when we're talking about how the society does things and is affecting us, it is what we allow ourselves to be affected by. And it is something that, we have to actually say, where is my power? Is my power inside myself or is it outside myself? Hinduism, remember, when it comes to mental health, Hinduism has this huge thing. It's in a way, it's more powerful in terms of our symbolism and all that when you combine it with psychology, which so few people do. But I love to combine Hinduism and psychology. And I actually mean from Puranic stories right up to the Vedas. And here's the thing. Aham Brahmasmi, I am God. The power we have within ourselves. And then you say you're influenced by society. What in society have you allowed to influence you? Let's talk about, I'm going to take it a little bit more serious here. And, the first one I'm talking about is anger. Now I'm actually going to talk about suicide. It's what started this topic. So when we talked about suicide, and, you can't change society, but you can control how you react. The actor from India who actually went and committed suicide. He was bullied. He was left out from people, but he had worked so hard to be at the top of his game. He was getting success. He came from nowhere and he got success. And then the people he respected, who were supposed to be his peers, turned on him. And he let that community overpower himself. And, and they won. Because he couldn't find the God inside himself enough to center himself and to stand what the community was saying. He got lost, he felt helpless, he felt hopeless, and he forgot that we are God, that we are divine. And and we can connect to other people's divinity and get strength from them, from our close friends, even when community is acting like monsters. That is the hard part of when you are giving community so much of power. It's the hard part when you're giving out people outside yourself so much of power, because when they define who you are, and you look at social media and you read social media, and people's comments about you and all that, and you think that that is who you are, and you forget who you really are, that's when we lose ourselves. And in Hinduism, we are God. That's our true nature. Our true nature is divine. It's so hard to understand, and it's so easy to understand. It really is so easy to understand. What it basically means is love yourself. What are they? So they are saying, okay, never mind, you can still love yourself. Find those that love you. Be with people who love you. And reach for that type of support. And if you're getting these people who are jealous, who are belittling you, it hurts. We are human beings. We're going to hurt. But that hurt, if you're going to stay alone in that hurt, it's going to hurt more. So reach out to people who can support you. I'm not talking about counselors in particular. I'm talking about, sometimes family members, sometimes side sisters, side brothers, mentors, all these people, they come in and they give you support. Okay. So when it comes down to community, that's how you do it. You find that strength inside you. You go back, you go back and you see who you really are. What is your inner essence? And then you decide whether you're going to let them tell you what to do. I'm going to give now a little bit, which is like not so spiritual, for people who are like, okay, I'm not sure about the religious stuff and all that. Let's go with this. The word should, community always tells you, when you say I should, you're talking about what community expects from you, what the community expects. I should have 5 A's. I should be thinner. I should have, I should have more children. I should have less children. I should be married. I should be this. I should be that. This one, it's like everybody can hear that, right? You've all heard how you should be better. You should be smarter. You should be this. You know what the word should means? Can anybody dare type out the definition of the word should? What does the word should mean? Should mean no. Should does not. Must means must. Must means must. Should is, what? Should is, I should do something, but I'm not going to do it. This is what should is. Everybody expects me to do something, but I'm not going to do it. I should lose weight. Generally means I'm not going to do anything to lose weight. I should exercise. Are you going to exercise now? If you have said, think for yourself. If you sit down there and you're saying, I should be exercising, you're probably going to sit down there and eat some more chips and watch Netflix. Okay, if that's what if you are sitting down there and you're saying I should be doing it, you're not doing it. I should be studying, you are playing a game. I should be going and I should be singing a bhajan, you are not at bhajans that day. You're doing something else. You are basically, when you say should, you're not doing it. So throw away the book of shoulds. If you want to lose weight, make it a goal. If it's not something, if you are happy with your physical size and you're happy with you being too thin, then accept yourself and move on. If not, change it. But if you're going to go, I should my whole life, that's when that expectation suddenly becomes heavier and heavier and heavier, because you're always shoulding, but you're not focusing on what you're doing right now and enjoying it. Because the minute you're saying I should, you're thinking of what I should be doing 15 minutes ago or 15 minutes in the future, which you're not going to do, and you're not experiencing the present. You're not experiencing and enjoying what you're doing right now. So just throw away the book of shoulds. Focus on what you're doing and what you must do. And if you must do, then there's a timetable. If I must do something, I must study tomorrow. That means exams are like very close already, and you must study. It's no longer I should study. Then you study, because your exams are a couple more days away. But if it's 2 months ago, I should study, then I should study. You won't study until the must comes in. The minute the must comes in, that's when you do it. So, that's how our mind works. And sometimes that's how much language influences what we say. So when it comes down to community expectations are the shoulds in our life. So, you should get married early. And you don't want to get married. So you don't want to. Make the choice. That's how it works. Okay. All right. And next question, please. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, I saw a question before just now where somebody asked that the borderline personality disorder needs medicine. Yes, borderline personality disorder definitely needs medicine. Okay, just because I saw that earlier. Sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
go on.
actually, that was the question that I wanted to go back, that somebody did
Yeah.
ask regarding that. And
Yeah.
somebody just messaged again, sadly not on the chat. They messaged me saying the word should, is it similar to the word try? Because when you say the word try, you're actually not doing it. You're just trying to do so. Instead, omit the word try and just do.
Yeah, but try is in that moment. I'm going to try it now. So I'm trying it now. And like, I may not commit 100%, but I'm actually doing it. So
Right.
try is actually slightly better than should. Should is worse. Should is
Okay.
you're not even, okay, like I'm going to try to ride a bike. Okay. And if I fall one time, I'm going to stop. So that's me trying to ride a bike. I fall one
Okay.
time, I stop because I still do not ride a bike. Okay. But I should ride a bike. Yeah, I should ride a bike. Huh? Maybe tomorrow I'll try. Maybe, but when I say I'm trying to ride a bike, that means I'm actually maybe on the bike and I'm not giving it 100%, but so try is actually slightly better than should.
Okay.
Should is total stress.
Okay. That
Okay.
your question?
Okay. I would like to say I agree completely with when you said that we can actually control our reaction, and the fact that you choose who you get angry to or react to, basically. Okay, moving on to the next question. To what extent does social media play a role in affecting our mental health? Nowadays, people seek validity through views, likes, etc.
How do you think that helps, La? That one is very easy answer. It actually affects us quite a bit. And sometimes we need to take a holiday from it. So please, sometimes take a holiday. And another one is, when you're actually sitting down there counting the views, you're waiting for the views to come. Please don't. Okay. If you're popular, you're popular. You're not popular, you're not popular. Just put it away, go to sleep. Don't go and look at views. I've done it. All of us have done it. But it's not on those days. We are genuinely not like being 100%. That being said, sometimes when you're feeling down and there's nothing much to do, social media can help. So it's how you manage your social media. I'm going to give just very pertinent example. During COVID, some people were checking on COVID status every night before they go to bed. That is the worst time to check. If you're gonna go and look for bad news just before you go to bed, you are setting yourself up to have a bad night and bad sleep. I had the misfortune of seeing an office email last night just before I went to bed, and like I woke up at 4 a.m. thinking of the stupid office email. Okay, and it was very annoying because it actually disrupted the sleep. And that's what happens when you get bad news just before you go to bed. You can't do anything about it. You're going to go and sleep, but instead of having a good night's sleep, you have disrupted your good night's sleep, and then you've disrupted your head. So, and then you look at the news first thing in the morning. So then even before breakfast, you're looking at the news, you've already disrupted your breakfast. Generally, if you're going to look at all the bad news in the world, try to look at it at a point where it's not disrupting your early morning or your late night. Okay, late night, you want to watch Netflix, you want to relax, really relax. Don't go to the news. Don't let the last things you see before you go to bed be the last part of the news. What's it going to do to you? Unless we have an immediate emergency, it's absolutely useless except for disrupting your mental health. So keep it to the middle of the day. Keep it to like after you've had your coffee, or while you're having your coffee. If you're the kind of person, I don't want the news to disrupt my coffee. My coffee is more important. So it's after the coffee, then only I look at news. Before that I'll be looking at friend stuff and all that. And that keeps me going. And not to say that not to say don't do it. Just choose times to do it that doesn't really get into your head and make your head go to places it doesn't need to go to 24/7. Okay. And the like culture and the selfie culture, I'm a selfie queen. Don't obsess. Just bottom line, if you enjoy it, it's the way of, it's not going to go away. Okay. The internet is not going away. But we have to balance what you're seeking validity for and your physical life and how you maintain your life. If you're going to go down the road of linking your mental health 100% to likes, and you're obsessively checking your stats on YouTube, your how many people have watched your Insta, did this person go and like my video, why didn't you like my, please stop. Okay. And it's even worse when you send somebody a text message and you immediately want them to text you back. Immediately. It doesn't matter whether they're busy. No, please stop that. And then if they don't answer you after 3-4 times, oh, you don't like me anymore. If you're doing that, just stop. Okay? People get busy. They can't look at their phones all the time. And I will actually stop texting people who do that to me, because I don't accept that. The phone is for my privilege, not yours. When I will answer emails at my convenience. I'll answer WhatsApp at my convenience. If I see and I want to answer you, then I'll answer you. If I don't want to answer you, it's my choice. I don't let my phone be a window for people to harass me. And if you are letting your phone be a window for somebody to harass you, then your mental health is gone. Again, that part of letting society control you instead of taking control of yourself. Okay? So I hope that helps with this question. I can do a whole thing on mental. I'm trying to not go so much more deeper. I can go a lot deeper into this topic, but there's so many other questions, so we're going to go on. Okay. So if anybody has got specific questions on IT and all that, bring it up. Next question, please.
Okay. The next question. Sometimes you overthink about a gazillion things. Sometimes you are just so affected with worries and problems. Sometimes there might not be any happiness at home, but you have no choice but to be with it. You tend to have sleepless nights and you feel anxious every morning when you wake up. How do you deal with this? How to find happiness with the people around you who are your own? And I guess those are the people that are causing the anxiety and how the person feels at the moment.
Okay, very important question here. I can answer from many different levels. I can answer with Sai and Hinduism, or I can answer from a pure psychology level for people who don't believe in God. And there may be people who are out there in this group who don't, and it's fine. But faith does have a very strong point here. So sometimes you overthink about gazillion things that are just affecting your worries and problems. Can I ask you, for those of you who enjoy worrying, what does worry accomplish? Worry accomplishes nothing, except giving you some people enjoy it because it gives them the idea that they're doing something in their head. They're not. It is totally ineffective behavior. Worrying about something is not effective. Doing something about it, of course, is effective. Worrying in itself is not effective, except it's very effective at disrupting your sleep. So what you need to do is disrupt the worry. Now, how do you disrupt worries? So if you don't believe in spirituality and you don't believe in religion, then when I'm talking about how you disrupt your worries, you use tricks like when you start worrying, you can wear like a bracelet and turn the bracelet, or if you always wear a chain, to touch the chain, or you can start doing something else to get your mind off the worry. If you believe in religion or spirituality, every time you're worrying, start saying the Gayatri mantra or any mantra that you like. But here's the trick: not just say the Gayatri, offer it. Every time you worry, just imagine yourself taking that worry and throwing it at God's feet, or putting it at God's feet, or offering it at God's feet, and say, "Can you please take this nonsense and go?" Because I've done my best. I've already done it. Now it's in my head. I need it out of my head. Just have a quick image of whichever form that you like in your head, and then just take all the thing and just give it to them. Just give it to them. They'll take it. Don't worry. Just get it out of yourself. Imagine it coming out of your body. It's no longer in your body. The more you can actually get it out of yourself, the less you're going to worry. The problem with worry is it's inside here. It's trapped. You're trapped. You've trapped yourself inside here, and there's no way out. And you're thinking, and you're thinking, and you're thinking, and you're thinking, but you're still trapped inside here. There's nothing that you can do to get it out. So you can use your imagination to get it out. So with like, if you don't like, again, if you're not into spirituality, then what you do is you just imagining it coming out of yourself and maybe throwing it into fire or throwing it into the sun. But if you are spiritual, then that imagery makes it much more powerful. So and I do this with even Christian clients and many clients. I do this with them. It is really a good, fast way to do it. Okay. There are actually more complicated ways. If we have time, I will try and show you one activity that might help for people who've got like some serious stuff that you want to take out. I'm not sure. I didn't actually talk to the organizers, but maybe in the last 5 minutes, there's something I can do rather than just talk, and I'll do a small activity with everybody to see whether it will help you or not. Okay. It's a bit more, guided. It's not, if you have time to do it, then I'll show it to you. I'll do it with you all. Okay. So, if you have to, if you're having sleepless nights, and if you're having anxiety every morning, just, do that activity of stopping the worry. This is useless. I don't need to worry. Either it'll happen or it won't happen. So just take it out of your head. If you can't, then start telling yourself. I did this when I was very young, because from the time I was young, when certain things were happening and you cannot control it, and you keep thinking of the negative thoughts, what I used to do is, when I was younger, is think of a long, complicated story. I start telling myself this long, complicated, every time my brain starts worrying, if I say a prayer and the prayer is not short, the prayer is like too short, it still comes back. I think of this long, complicated story. I start telling myself this long, complicated story. Doesn't mean anything. It just gives me some fun. It's inside my head. Any genre that makes you, that makes you excited, and sooner or later you go to sleep. And if you can't sleep, you can't sleep. But if you're worrying about not sleeping, then you've got two problems. So then just do kind of a meditative state, and just tell yourself a story. Give your mind something to do. That's why people last time used to count sheep. But counting sheep is very boring. And people get tired, and so they're trying to bore themselves to sleep. It doesn't work that well. So what I find is, you need to distract the mind, because the mind is a very complex thing. So when you do your own stories, make it interesting for yourself. Give your brain something to think about other than the worries. Okay. In this kind of forum, that's all. There's actually, I can do quite a bit more on this one. How do you find happiness with the people around you who are your own? Honestly, light meditation helps, but it takes a long time for you to do light meditation. It's not like you do light meditation 1 or 2 days and then then it starts to work. You're talking about doing light meditation for a couple of months. But at the end of the day, you know what? I choose to be happy. I can be unhappy for a few days. I can be unhappy for certain periods of time because something has happened. But I choose to be happy, not because of the people around me. Usually I choose to be happy in spite of the people around me. What do I mean by that? I mean that sometimes it feels, and whether we're Sai devotees or not Sai devotees, I'm just sharing a human experience, so please don't take this the wrong way. But sometimes, the people around us seem to be like planning to make us unhappy. Just when you're trying to relax, they kachao you, they disturb you. Just when you are, when you're feeling like, okay, everything is okay, they create a problem. So, and it seems like they don't want you to be happy. And sometimes it actually maybe they're jealous, they're other things. So, I've made a choice in my life, and this came quite late, a few years ago, that, you know what, in spite of them, just to spite them, because I know it's going to annoy some people that I'm happy in spite of the issues. I'm going to be happy in spite of them. And I work at it. I work at trying to be happy. My dog is a good thing. Um, uh, um, sometimes, doing some crazy things, enjoying myself. Like during COVID, I actually sang some songs and all that. I posted on YouTube. So whatever, that gives you that happiness for a while, to get you out of that state you're in, and to actually, disappoint the people who want you to be who want you to be in the drain where they are, and I really want to disappoint them. So I like to be happy in spite of them, and I know it annoys people. So yeah, sometimes being happy helps to annoy people. And it's the best kind of way to annoy people, and maybe they can learn to be happy themselves, okay, by seeing your happiness in spite of them. Okay, so shall we go on to the next one, please?
I agree. Happiness is a choice, and but on that note of happiness, there are lots of people who pretend to be happy when they're actually hiding behind that happiness or behind that smile, or there are many people who do that.
Yep.
And there are lots of people who have come up and said that you seem always jolly and you seem always happy. Are you truly happy and jolly all the time? I'm like you.
No.
I think happiness is a choice, and I'd rather choose happiness. But there are so many people who actually hide behind that smile or hide behind that happiness.
And here's the answer. No, I'm not happy all the time, but I choose to be predominantly happy.
All right.
I choose my main emotion to be happy. And how I define happy may be different from how you all define happy. Sometimes being happy is just sitting down there with my coffee and just spacing
Yes.
out and not doing anything, or sitting in front of the computer and playing a game. I'm happy doing that. Sometimes it's hanging out with friends. But
Right.
it's for me to define how I'm happy. And some people find themselves happy, okay, when they're hiking. I mean, seriously, okay. And they were exercising. Oh my God, you people are tortured. You all like to torture yourselves. But there are some people who are happy doing that. And there are some
Right.
people who are happy when they're knitting and we think they're depressed. No, they're enjoying the knitting, let them knit.
True,
Okay.
true.
Yeah. So,
Before we continue on with the next question, maybe we can throw it out to the forum. If there are people, those who are viewing us today, if there's any questions that you would like to answer before we continue with the series of already questions from the Google form, we're very happy to answer any questions. So if you have questions for Dr. and for our doctor here, please go ahead.
you can actually go Dr. A or Anasu. Anasu
Yeah, I
is
was
fine.
gonna go Dr. A, and I was thinking,
Oh, Anasu, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. I'm not.
Okay.
I don't really care. It's whatever people call me, I'm answering. Except Anu. I don't answer to Anu because my best friend is Anu.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Anasu.
Dr. A, if anyone have questions for Dr. A, now would be a good time. Do we have any questions?
My Balvika students call me Anasoka, so that also works. But I'm
Okay.
I'm not that old, okay? They also call me Auntie Anasula, which is sad. I'm old, but they're Balvikas, what to do? And any other questions, guys? Anybody wants to ask a physical question? I'll be happy to answer. If not, we'll continue.
Yeah, okay, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sairam, is having bad dreams overnight a sign? No, having bad dreams is having bad dreams. Having bad dreams is your mind basically filing away what's been happening. Okay, there are many different definitions of dreams. Some people can see dreams with subconscious messages or sublime messages. Some people see dreams as as like a warning of something bad going to happen. Or some people is that so many stuff are happening in their life, they cannot process everything. When you go to sleep, that's when your brain starts processing. So, and when you've got lots of, too much stuff going on that day, then the brain starts processing into bad dreams. If you're having bad dreams every night, sometimes it could also be, what are you doing just before you go to sleep? It can actually be food. Or if you're having a drink and it doesn't quite, agree with your stomach, it can turn into a bad dream. So there are quite a number of things that can lead to bad dreams every night. It's not a sign of it's not necessarily a sign of mental disorder. Don't jump so far. It's usually just a physical thing or a stress thing. If it's really every night, I'm honestly going to say, can you please check your stress levels? How's your stress doing? Are you finding some peace at home? Is there stuff that you're worrying about too much? That could be coming out in your dreams. So that's generally what it is, but it's definitely not mental health disorder. Okay. If we're not happy with our partner, is it better to get divorced or constantly work on it? Yeah, that one you have to come in for couple counseling. And also, because it's a Hindu community. I don't want to say things that get me too fired up, but I'm gonna say something here. When you talk about you talk about divorce in Hinduism and all that. We got three main god forms, right? Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Have you seen the couple relationships between the three of them? And these are the most powerful icons. Everything is symbolic. Hinduism, everything is. I'm going to say things here, and I'm going to 100% apologize because I might offend some people right now who have slightly different way of looking at the world, and I'm going to apologize for it. But I have every right to define or look at Hinduism and understand symbols as anybody else. I'm going to use that right now. So you see Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, they're all married, right? So Shiva has got Parvati and got kids. Vishnu has got his wife, no kids. Brahma and Saraswati. Saraswati saw old man, decided, no, I'm not marrying this guy, basically walked away. She's a single woman, he's married. He's a single man. You don't see them in pictures together. These are the most powerful relationships, male-female relationships in the Hindu pantheon. And you've got somebody who's basically single, walked away from the husband, supposed husband, and then is acting single. Saraswati, accepted. She's a god, we all pray to her. Lakshmi, she's married, no children. And she's the goddess of prosperity. Come on, okay? And then, of course, you're also married with kids. All three are actually the different parts of our life, which is all acceptable. So that's my answer to this question. Okay, so y'all figure it. More than that, y'all figure it out, because I don't want somebody to go and have a divorce and then come and say, "Oh, it's Dr. Anasu's fault I had a divorce." Okay, so I have to be a bit careful in how I answer this question here. So you can go and refer to that. Don't refer to me in this answer. Okay. Um, how to remove, how to remove hindsight bias from people you meet after a long bad event. Okay, what, I'm really sorry, but I've seen this question, I saw this question earlier. I don't understand what hindsight bias is. I've not come across that statement before. Can you please explain? Okay, I can't see. Where's my glasses? I'm short-sighted. My long-sightedness is very good, but my short-sightedness when I'm reading is I need glasses. Kashish, can you please explain what does hindsight bias mean? I'm not quite sure what that phrase means. It's something which I've never come across. Okay, so if you can explain that, that'll be really good. Okay, I think I've answered the 3 questions there. Anybody else with questions who wants to actually, Kashish, if you can actually turn on your mic and explain hindsight bias, that might be the fastest way of doing it. Okay, no, he actually explained. Hindsight bias is it's a sociological, it's not psychological term, that's what I thought. Hindsight bias, also the knew it all along phenomena or creeping determinism, refers to the common tendency of people to perceive events that have already occurred as having been predictable than they actually were before the events took place. Basically, it means you're able to read patterns of behavior. When it comes down to personal relationships, there's no such thing. I mean, when you're emotionally involved with somebody, your ability to use your hindsight bias is definitely interfered with. Counselors and clinical psychologists, and no matter how good you are, you cannot do it for your own family. You cannot counsel. It's not like you don't have problems in your own family, because when you look at your own family, you're going to have bias there. So when you're talking about hindsight bias, how to remove it, you honestly, the only way you can remove it is just accept that I can't apply this to my personal relationships. I can apply it when I see other people's relationships. But if you are going to be kicking yourself for getting into this relationship, because at the end of it, when you look back, suddenly it's very clear, but your emotions are not involved when you look back in the end of it. In the beginning of it, your emotions are involved. So if you want to remove any kind of bias in your life, the answer is actually going to be very straightforward for anything. Number 1, forgive yourself for having that bias because you're human. And then number 2, work on it. Work on it by going, I am bigger than this. I'm bigger than this bias. So I'm going to try to ensure that I reduce the bias in how I practice my daily life. Okay, so that is that. I hope that answers that question. It's not a question in psychology, it's a question in sociology. So it's more social behavior theory than a personal behavior theory. And it does actually have a little bit of, what's that, how to say this? Sometimes sociology and psychology don't quite agree with each other and everything. So that's where when it comes to practicing this, it has to be more to that person and not to the whole world in general. Okay, so just very quickly before we go to the others, with regards, what are your thoughts on how to fake it until you make it concept? Okay, fake it until you make it is external. You're showing it to other people. But internally, how do you fake it internally? Internally, you don't fake it, you choose it. You choose it and you work on it. When I'm external to other people and I'm upset and I'm pretending I'm happy when I'm upset, then I'm faking it. But when I'm with myself, and like I said, I've chosen to be happy. What it means is when I'm upset by myself alone, I work on not being unhappy. I work on being happy when I'm alone. So I'm not making it for other people. If you are doing your happiness for other people, that's your faking it. But if you're doing it for yourself and then other people are seeing the outcome of you having done it for yourself, that is when you're choosing happiness. Okay, that is the easiest way to see the difference between the two. Are you like, I am so happy in front of other people, but the minute you go home, you're like, by sitting by yourself, you're like sitting down there and you're upset and you're everything, and then I can't feel it. That's your faking it. But outside, you're like, okay, you're smiling at them, even if you're unhappy also, but you come home, you're like, why am I not? This is a waste of my time. Let me do something else. Let me do something I enjoy. I'm going to sit down here. I'm going to have a nice, hot tea, hot coffee, cold drink, ice cream, whatever. And I'm going to start, feeling happy with myself. And, I'm going to start thinking of stuff which I have done or I'm proud of. And I'm going to get over this, this temporary state of unhappiness. That's choice. That's the way to do it. Okay. So you're only faking it if you're only going to do it for other people's sake. If you're doing it for your own sake, you're not faking it. That's when you're real. That's the real you that you're dealing with. Okay? So that's the easiest way for me to answer that. Doctor, can we listen to music, mantras, subliminal messages while we sleep? Will that affect the quality of our sleep or affect our brain? Yes. If you're listening to good music when you're going to sleep and all that, I'm honestly going to say that at certain points in my life, I've listened to like angelic, supposedly angelic music. The shamanic music when my brain is really upset. Okay, then it actually helps calm down. It actually, yeah, just give me 2 seconds. Somebody's got the bell out, and it's a bit too loud. Okay, so when you're doing this type of thing, then it actually helps you calm down. The bell, stop, please. Softer, please, the bell. Softer on the bell, please. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so we can actually use those. We can use those music. We can use mantras to actually control ourselves and to make ourselves better. Okay, so it's not something that can't be done. It definitely can be done. Okay. So the answer is yes, it definitely can be done, and it does help your quality of music. Oh, sorry, it does help your quality of sleep when you're doing that. Okay, and that's been proven a few times with scientific experiments and all that as well. Okay. Okay. Next question, please.
Okay, next question. I have quite a traumatic past that affects my personality and the relationship between me and people. Even though I know the source of my sorrows and trauma, yet I am still unable to accept myself, and the past still haunts me like a demon lurking in the corner of my mind, helping me make bad decisions. This affects greatly on my sadhana and my relationship with God. How can I overcome this? Supposedly post traumatic stress disorder.
Okay. When you're talking about PTSD and you're talking about past trauma or the past affecting you, one of the major components is I've said this before in this lecture. I've actually mentioned it already. It's actually comes down to forgiveness, but it's not forgiving other people. All of us think that when we have trauma, we have to forgive other people. No, you can't forgive other people before you do one small thing: forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, and forgive yourself for being young and being in that traumatic situation. Forgive yourself for not having the resources when you were younger to overcome it miraculously overcome that situation. Forgive yourself for whatever that caused that situation that you were in. It was not your fault. You were young, you didn't have the tools, you didn't know what you were doing. And if there's nothing that you can do right now to change it, look back and say, if nothing else, that person deserves forgiveness. If it was a stranger who had been in that traumatic situation, you could forgive that stranger. You could tell them that it is not their fault. But somehow, because it's yourself, you're so much harder on yourself for no reason. You've got so much more standards for yourself, which are unnecessary. All the shoulds. I should have been able to come out of this. I should not have done that to cause that. No, you did because you had lack of information, there was lack of support, there was emotional issues. There's so many things that happened at that point in time. And that you were younger, and you didn't have the tools, you didn't have the knowledge that you do now. It's so easy to judge ourselves harshly. And in judging ourselves harshly, we take away from the present. We take away from that person that needs support and love. The younger you in a bad situation deserves as much love, as much support, as much forgiveness as you do now. And sometimes there's nobody except you to look back at the younger you and say, you know what? You survived. And I thank you for surviving. And you're a beautiful person. And you are safe now. And the older you needs to look back at the younger you and say, you're safe. You no longer need to be scared. I can protect you now. Can you trust me to rest? Because inside yourself, that trauma, that person who was facing that trauma is still struggling with the trauma because you don't accept that person as part of yourself. You're like, I shouldn't have been that. I shouldn't have done this. I should have known better. All those thoughts keeps re-traumatizing yourself. So here, really, this is regardless of whether you're a Sai devotee, non-Sai devotee. I actually say this to all my clients. when you have trauma in the past, before you can handle, before, if you really think you want to get, you want to heal from a trauma, I won't use the word overcome it, heal from it. The key personality, the key component there is, can you forgive yourselves? It was not your fault, but can you forgive yourself for being young? Can you forgive yourself for the mistakes you made before and after? And somehow or another, it's part of the dialogue. It's part of the things we tell ourselves. And the understanding that, everything is forgivable. There's nothing that is not forgivable. Even if we actively did something that contributed to the trauma. Like if for young people, when they, say they got into a very bad relationship, and then that, and that became very traumatic. So then they're like, why, if only I had not gotten into that relationship. But no, it's okay. It's okay. You got into the relationship. It's in the past. You've now moved forward from it. But don't look at that person in that past and say, that person was so stupid. No, that person led you to who you are now. Be grateful they survived. Be grateful. Understand that person is still in pain. And if I can look back and take that pain and say, you know what, I have more tools to handle that pain. Give me that pain and I will take it, and I'll let the younger self, what is inside yourself, let you all relax. So this form of therapy that I'm doing, what I'm saying here right now, I'm going to give a slight warning here, is most therapists, I'm using psychodynamic, which is going and using the past. Not many therapists would use that form of psychodynamic therapy. But I do use it, and I do help people with it. So if you're going to look for a counselor to help you with what I'm talking about just now, it has to be people who can go to the past a little bit. A lot of therapists use here and now. They're also very effective. So if you find that you are not able to help yourself with this, then please, go and see somebody, get them to help you to, reprocess it, relook at it a different way. And if all you've been doing is taking medicine, it doesn't work. You need to understand the processes and what is needed to be done in order to heal. Okay, so this is the kind where I actually think that the medicine is not so powerful. It is actually the therapy that is more powerful. It is the learning and the understanding and getting the insight of, why does this keep coming back in my brain? What is it about the situation that still bothers me so much that it must, it keeps like what they said, it keeps pouncing on me. It has to keep coming back and haunting me because there's something there that hasn't healed. There's something there that is still in pain. There's something there that needs to be addressed. And it doesn't need to be addressed harshly. It doesn't need to be addressed with, go away. I don't need this anymore. Why does this keep happening? No, it needs to be addressed with love. It needs to be addressed with forgiveness. And it needs to be addressed with compassion. So I think the easier word to use is be compassionate with the you in the past. And it's not just for the person who's sharing here. It's every single person here. Be compassionate with the you in the past. Just imagine if it was somebody else's child that you were talking to, or somebody else that you're talking to, how much more compassionate would you be if they had gone through your situation? Instead of you sitting down here and going, I was so terrible when I was younger, I was a terrible, and all those words that we use on ourselves. Why? Why are we so hard on ourselves? How do you think it helps your mental health? It doesn't. It just contributes more to your mental health, your mental disturbances. So please, if have some compassion to yourself and have some forgiveness for yourself. Okay. So that I hope for this person, if they try this, they might find that there's a turning point in actually understanding what's going on. And I hope it is. It's about all I can do in this session. Okay. So I'm going to ask if it's okay. I'll go to the next session, or if the person wants to actually have a different, ask a different question, like same with the person on, when they asked about bipolar, just type in some more questions there. Or if it's not that person, it's somebody else, but you hear what I'm saying and it's asked and it's caused a thought, you can also share the question. All right. Okay. Right. Okay. So next question.
Okay. Our next question. Growing up, I was always negatively labeled, and it affected my self-esteem. Having inferior complex issues made me aloof and lonely. This is something that reoccurs. How do we deal with negativity as such so that it doesn't lead to depression or anxiety?
I think, as when you say when you're younger and now, I think I answered the question. Because when we look at ourselves when we're younger, and Why was I, why was I so scared when I was young? Stop doing that. Just be compassionate to the person in the past. They had to survive their family. They had to survive bullying. They had to survive the issues that came with self-esteem. And if you're right now, if you still feel that inferiority complex, then go back to, what I was talking about of looking at yourself and say, okay, where do I need to grow? If I can be compassionate with my past, now I can focus on my present. So where do you need to grow? How do you develop a more healthy personality complex and not go into inferiority complex or superiority complex? Okay, it is looking at yourself and it is looking at yourself in a more compassionate way and accepting who you are. And and it's okay to be you. And if the you is really sometimes a bit more quiet, what's wrong with that? But if you're lonely and you need support, then you have to find ways to reach out. So then it becomes about behavior. Okay. How as such we don't need, yeah. So I mean, these are ways to, I mean, I think I've been talking about happiness and how we manage throughout. So I think some of this has actually been answered earlier in terms of what we can do to decide, to choose, to move away from the past. And all of that, if you put it together, it's basically, don't be so harsh on yourself for the labels. And are you still carrying that label? So you're saying that I was always negatively labeled. Are you still carrying that label? If you are still carrying that label 20 years after you're labeled, do you think it's about time to put it down and say, this is no longer me? This is not who I am anymore, and I'm going to drop it. Try the other label, I am divine. Try the other label, I am a child of God. Try the other label, I am light. Try the other label, I am powerful. Okay, so replace the label with different labels. Okay.
Okay. Very insightful.
Okay. Yeah.
Next question.
There's one here that's saying, developing skills we are good at helps. Yes, definitely. Developing skills. In fact, I'm going to actually say developing skills that you're good at helps. Developing skills in something that you didn't think you could do helps even more. Challenging yourself. When you're doing something that challenges yourself, you actually find a lot more boost to your self-confidence than you ever did. And it can be really silly. There was one time when I went in order to one of the things that actually boosted my confidence for in a weird way was this. I decided to go. I can't because I have asthma. I cannot go scuba diving. When I was younger, I had asthma, so I couldn't go scuba diving. I could only go snorkeling. And I used to be very jealous of my cousin who could scuba dive, and she went with sharks and all that. So one time I knew there were some small, the black tip reef sharks in this area. So I actually went and put the scuba diving gear and went looking for a black tip reef shark. I almost died. Not because of the shark, but because when I saw the shark, I was so excited. I started shouting, shark, shark, underwater. And so water went inside. And then when water went inside, I had to come up because I was suddenly drowning. So I had to come up, breathe, and then come down. The shark didn't do anything to me. The shark was beautiful. And it was an amazing experience. It was not much, but it gave me such a boost in confidence, in self-esteem, that I did something which is like, not many other people do. It's not so much of skill, it's what I did. Experiences. Get rich with kinds of weird experiences or interesting experiences that it builds you up. Okay. So you can do skills that you're good at, or if you think that, I would never be able to play a musical instrument, then learn to play a musical instrument. Although I'm a hypocrite because I don't play musical instruments, but if you can't draw, then draw something. I've done that. You can't dance. So those kinds of small things, it can also help. And skilling yourself in a way that in building a skill you already have, obviously it helps. But sometimes taking those small ones is a nice boost to your confidence, and you're like, I did things that nobody else can do. I did things that nobody in my family would do. And like traveling by yourself, doing just whatever. Sometimes when you do sadhana and you're going like you're going up into the hills and all that, and you thought I would never be able to do it, and you're doing it in a group. Wonderful, just do it, and that really helps you with your self-confidence. Okay. All right. Okay. Go on to the next one. Okay. If you're privately messaging, it's very hard for me to be able to answer that. So after this, I'll post my email address, and then y'all email me, and then y'all can email me, or you can contact any of the team, and they can give you my WhatsApp number, and then it's easier if you WhatsApp. So I think that's easier. If anybody has got private messages, if you're going to send me private messages in the chat, it's really hard for me to focus. So I'm going to ask you that if you can give it to Sharon or Danny and ask them to give you my WhatsApp address, it's fine. Just tell me where you are and send me a WhatsApp and we can start a conversation there. Okay? So, so please do that because if not, I don't want to say anything in the chat which is offensive or breaking anybody's confidence and all that. So the easiest thing is just please WhatsApp. Just please get the WhatsApp from Danny and Sharon. And Danny, if anybody asks, just give it to them, please.
Yes.
No questions asked, all right?
All right.
Okay, yeah, okay. So moving on to the next question.
Next question. What happens to the soul when a person commits suicide? If everything happens under the divine will, despite believing in divinity, how is it that a person can commit suicide? What are the karmic repercussions, if any?
Okay, I'm going to give a warning here. I have a suicide in my family. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. So when I was, my youngest brother committed suicide. So for me to deal with it, I had to deal with it emotionally, spiritually, and spiritually and in my brain. So I had personal experience with suicide and I found personal answers. So these are not answers that are any kind of spiritual textbook or something, but these are messages I got that helped in my healing journey. And I did quite a number of what some people might consider like, just exciting things in different religion, different groups to actually help myself understand the whole thing and understand myself better. Okay, I'm not so young, I'm in my 40s, okay, 45. So, so I'm going to answer from my perspective. And again, this one is sorry for anybody who has a different perspective and total trigger warning here on suicide. So please be careful if you're worried about this topic, all right? What happens to a soul when a person commits suicide? We're Hindu. I'm going to answer the second question first. If everything happens under divine will, despite believing in divinity, how can a person commit suicide? Because where in Hinduism does it say you got no willpower? You are God. Divine will is your own will as well. And you have, your this birth, the situations you're in this birth was created from your past birth. Decisions you make in this birth create karma for your next birth. Basically what karma does, from my understanding, is karma creates the stage that you're on. Within the stage, the script is yours. What you say changes the script as you say it. So who comes on stage is changed by how you react, how you treat people, how you treat yourself. All of that changes what it is. So there's nothing in Hinduism that says, it's not like, we are not a society, we're not something that says everything is written. Everything is written with multiple choices. God knows there are so many choices we're given because we are part of God. We are part of that divinity. And that divinity sometimes can forget because we are in Maya, we are living in Maya, we forget that we are God. And when we forget that we are God, we can do self-destructive behaviors. So what happens to the soul when you commit suicide? There's no hell in Hinduism. Hell is a small waiting room. And sometimes they have images and all that. Okay, this is what happens in my discussion with my brother about almost 10 years, 10 to 12 years after he died. I did something, I went somewhere, different country, did something, and actually had a kind of a discussion with my brother. So this was between me and my brother. And this was my understanding of what was going on. You can take it as a hallucination, you can take it as a dream, you can take it however you want it. I'm just sharing my thoughts on this. Okay, and this is a personal sharing. So what I think is that what happens is when you commit suicide under us, we are on the fourth. In Hinduism, there are many different lokas. There are 16 to 18 different lokas depending on how you define it. So we are on the fourth dimension. The many dimensions. The word lokas is dimensions. So we are on the fourth dimension. There are 3 dimensions below us. For Christianity or different religions, the 3 dimensions below us are basically what they would consider hell. And for them, there's like no salvation and all when you're in those dimensions. For us, all of it are training rooms. All of it are waiting rooms for you to get to the human dimension. The human dimension is special because this dimension is where you change your karma. Our dimension is the only dimension, and I think this one is in the Puranic, is in the Vedas and all that this dimension is special because here is where your karma is tested and you can move up or move down on that ladder. Whereas everything else is you're there for a little while and then you come back to be born and tested on the planet. So what my understanding of for when somebody commits suicide, what happens to the soul is we are all born on this planet because we are trying to develop our souls. We are trying to, our soul knows, we are going through different things. We have to learn lessons to go to the higher level of development. Some people, unfortunately, will slip to a lower level. It's okay. Next birth, you can get back to the higher level. So for those souls that are thinking of suicide, is that they have gone to a state where they are so helpless, they are so hopeless, they're so disconnected from people around them and themselves, their own soul, and they're so connected to their pain that all that they are feeling is pain. So they forget, and in that forgetfulness, then they commit suicide. They forget that they forget to learn the lesson they're supposed to learn. So what happens is then you have to go through those three levels to learn the lesson that you didn't learn. But when you're in the three other states, the three other dimensions, you are aware of why you're learning it, and it's all quite fast. It's not like, within our lifetime, they're quite fast. So it can be like, a few months, but they're learning that lessons in those dimensions, knowing what they did wrong. Only in this birth, they'll usually forget. So the first two dimensions, they are knowing it, and they can ask for help from, God forms, the gurus and all that. The one just before us, they have to go through it by themselves, and then only they're reborn. So for me, what it means is that if you're going to choose to commit suicide in Hinduism, you're going to have to learn the same lesson 3 times, and then you're reborn to actually put it into practice and see whether your soul has learned it and you're able to make those connections. So it's 4 times that you have to go through this one lesson. Maybe you want to consider learning it in this birth and not having to go through all that. But this, of course, is for people who believe in karma and believe in this kind of thing. But however, if you want to go that, okay, it's what happens to your soul after that, you're just reborn. If you don't want to believe in those three, you are going to be reborn. You're just going to be reborn to learn the lesson where you need to learn it. That is actually, the basic normal understanding of Hinduism would be you're reborn to learn the lesson. There's no hell. Hell is just that idea of a waiting room for a little while. After that, you're reborn again. You're not consigned to hell forever. We are not from a religion that punishes people for mistakes. God is love. Love does not mean I'm going to send you to hell and you're going to burn in hell. No, it means that no matter where you are, no matter what you do, the one thing that God cannot do is leave you alone. You can always connect with God. You can always connect with spirituality because you are part of that spirituality. And there's no place, not even any place where you cannot connect with that spirituality and come back and be given another chance. That is Hinduism. So it's a very loving religion. It's a very loving belief system. The philosophy is all about you being able to improve yourself. So that's at least my understanding of it. And that got me, this kind of philosophy, as weird as it sounds, got me through a lot of things. So that's where I'm coming from. Okay. And I've explained. So how is it that a person can commit suicide? How is it a person can commit? Okay, not so long ago, I was actually, usually I have dealt with people like on the phone, calling on the phone. I've had people take pills and then call me. So I go to the house and then take them to hospital. I've had somebody sitting in the car, and I mean, this one happened, sitting in the car calling me and saying, okay, I'm going to carbon monoxide poison myself. I don't know where they are. I'm trying to find them. They switched off the tracker on their phone. And then, so I'm praying and that person is praying. And then someone by a miracle, police officers come and knock on the window, and she has to open. And after that, the person comes and tells me, praying to God doesn't work. I prayed so hard, and I'm still alive. And I went, well, you called me, I was praying as well, so obviously my prayer was stronger than yours. Okay, so because I wanted to relive. So I've had those situations before, but recently I had quite a unique one. I've never actually been on the roof with the person, but recently there was a situation in work where one of the workers from a kiosk was standing on the rooftop and threatening to jump. So I was actually on the roof with that person, and we managed to pull the person out. She's safe, but because of that situation, once we pulled that person off, my shoes were off, so I was barefoot. So my shoes were on the thing, and I turned around and I looked down, and we were on the roof, 10th, 10th floor height. Okay, it's no joke. And I looked down, and there's no way I would have the guts to stand where she stood. There's no way I would be able to even conceive how you'll have the, how have the desperation and the courage and that kind of, that focused, I mean, it is the word, that to stand there and do it. I can't do it. I won't do it. I'm not, I'm not somebody who can imagine myself committing suicide actively. And so when you ask me, how is it that the person can commit suicide? My answer is, it takes a lot of courage, which is so focused on ending the pain. And my courage is not that focused. I'm not that brave. I'm not that, I don't have that type of focus where I can just think of ending the pain and not consider other kinds of pain. So they are so focused on just ending the pain that they cannot think beyond that. So that's the only thing they can think of is, I have to kill myself in order to end the pain. I have to kill myself in order to stop this. So it is very strong, but it's also a lie. There are many ways that you can end the pain. There are many ways you can let go of the pain. You can get it out of yourself. But we don't have those tools. We don't know how to do it. So then we feel hopeless. We feel that nobody is there. And that's how it happens. Okay. So I don't think they're cowards. I just think that, they are desperate. And one thing I will say, I want to add, for anybody who's ever thought that, if I commit suicide, I'll make life easier for other people. I will reduce the pain in the world. I've heard this from clients. I'll reduce the pain in the world if I commit suicide. And I'm like, no, you won't. I have had too many cases. I have seen too much. I've been to post-suicide events and how it even affects strangers. The net of any suicide is increased pain exponentially across the board. Increased trauma, increased stress. If you are feeling your life is hopeless and you can't bear your own pain, that's fine. But if you're going to make the rest of this the excuse for, I want to commit suicide because I want to save people from my, because I am here, I'm hurting more people. Let me tell you this honestly. You being here is less hurt than you committing suicide. Give people a chance to support you, give people a chance to help you, and give the correct people a chance. Sometimes your family can't take it. Your family gets too emotionally involved. Sometimes you need to spread it around, find professional help. Okay. That's all I can ask at that point. And yeah, the pain can be very strong. The pain can be blindingly strong because that's all they're focusing on. So it's just that all the brain is somehow just focused on that. And it also sometimes can be mental disorder where the brain is going there. If some drugs, just a fair warning to some people. If you are, especially if people are going into their 40s, 50s, 60s, you notice that sometimes you change your drugs, you change your medicine. Please track when you change medicine, especially for older people, heart medicine, even diabetic medicine, even mental health medicine. The first 2-3 weeks of using that medicine, you must watch for change of behavior, increase of depression. A lot of those drugs have side effects that include depression and suicidal thoughts. So sometimes if there's nothing wrong, that person was seems to be okay, but because they're old, you think they're getting suicidal, and they've changed their medicine. And sometimes it can be the medicine. So you need to watch people for side effects because that has happened, and sometimes it is just the side effects of the medication. That's why in the US, if any of y'all have been to the US and you've seen on TV when they say, they are advertising the drug, after that they have this very long depressing thing of this drug has all the side effects of this, because that's side effects of drugs. But we forget in Asia that we also have the same side effects. It doesn't differ. So, but we don't do enough monitoring. So if you're changing drugs for people, please monitor the first 3 weeks, especially up to a month. 3 weeks to a month, you have to monitor. If there's a change of personality, a change of temperament, a change of behavior, it may not be mental health. It just may be a side effect of the drug. And then if it's a side effect of the drug, then you can settle it quite fast. And sometimes it also can be possession, but that's a different story altogether. Okay, that's sort of a joke. I hope it went across because I'm trying to lighten the mood. That was a very heavy talk on suicide. Okay, Danny, you want to go to the next question? Now you know why I trigger warning to everybody, yeah?
No, but you answered it so brilliantly. I think a lot of people would understand the way you explained it, especially in terms of Hinduism aspect and just how the karmic rule applied. I thought it was brilliantly answered.
Thank you. Okay.
So we'll go to the next question. It's this question relates to suicide. Generally, when a family member passes, we try to speak only good of the deceased and speak as less as possible to allow the soul to be at peace. Recently, a celebrity committed suicide, and there has been numerous speculations. Does this cause unrest to the soul? As an outsider, can we do anything to ease the departed soul's onward journey?
Okay, if you're going to be speculate, look, if you're a star and your soul, usually the soul will go to, people they care about. The soul will have a higher look at, the soul is, when we go to our soul's level, our soul is on a slightly higher plane than your physical body. So if he is now seeing, and he's seeing what people are speculating and all that, he'll be able to understand, because you know when I had my conversation with my brother was at a very higher level of understanding than it would ever have happened when we were on, because he was only 22. So he was not that mature in terms of how he came across sometimes. But when I had that conversation with him, there was a sense of knowing that was not present when he was alive. So when you go to your soul level, there's a lot more knowledge that you get than when you are caught in the body maya. So when we're going into our soul state, we are actually a little bit free of the maya. So we can see sometimes what are people's intentions. We can see the energy. If you want to help anybody, chant the Triambagam, because they are supposed to be letting go of the karma. They're supposed to be letting go of the connections. If your soul is going to be so worried about what other people are saying, you don't go and chant, I love you, oh my God, you're such a good person. That doesn't help the soul. You're just creating more karma. You're just creating more connections. What you want to do is Om Triambagam Yajamahe. Be like the cucumber that can let it go, that can release from this earth. If you have got connections, release from these connections. Let the living deal with their karma. You don't connect yourself with the karma. Remind the soul of that. Please don't go and say that, oh, I'm going to say something really good and pray some really good stuff and tell the person he was so wonderful and I'm helping the soul that way. No, you're not. What you're doing is you're creating connections. With the soul, you don't need. The soul needs to understand and move into the next level of being. And so that's why we say Triambagam. Triambagam, is one of the things we say for ourselves, to remind ourselves to release ourselves from the bondage of karma. And why during funerals, a lot of people say Triambagam, because that's what you need to release from that karma, to let that karma go in order to move forward in your life. Okay? So that's something that we need to remind ourselves, and as we go on as that person is going on the onward journey. So the best thing you can do for that person is Triambagam, in my point of view. Okay. And just don't thinking good thoughts is also good, but it may also create connections that is unnecessary, that keeps people trapped in maya. So just keep going on, just that's why Triambagam is most important. Okay. So I mean, whether it creates unrest, I mean, I'm not psychic, so I can't tell you whether that person is being created. I can only tell you in general, just do the Triambagam. It helps. Sairam, do you think our death is planned? The time of your death is planned, but how your death is not. That's why some people attempt suicide but don't survive. Some people, like, they jump from the 10th floor and they end up walking away. I mean, I've had stories of someone went into the sea, was actually overcome by the wave, and miraculously they survived. This other person was trying to walk into traffic, and as they tried to walk into traffic, something held them back, and they couldn't take the next step forward, and survived. And then other people will, and some people will try 10 times, 15 times, and never actually commit suicide. The time of death in Hinduism, if you're born, the time of death is set, but how you die, that's not set. So like my brother, unfortunately, he was supposed to die at 22, but how he died ended up from suicide, which then affected everybody badly, affected his karma badly, his future karma badly. But that time of death is set. So if he was not meant to die, then he could have shattered his backbone. He could have broken legs. He could have, and that would be a whole different set of negative karma for everybody around. and hardships. I mean, I would have preferred that happen, but it didn't. But it would have been hard. It would have been hard, but I would definitely have preferred him being alive. Even if he'd broken his back, I would prefer him to be alive. But maybe he wouldn't. I don't know, because that it just happened. So the time of death is set. Hinduism, the time of death is set. How you die, that's not set. That's set by what you're doing in this birth, and that creates that moment. Then that's why, again, like I said, some people, they survive miraculous things. Like the guy who survived when, the steel beam went through his. There's this guy. A steel beam went through his jaw, took out his right eye, and went through his brain, and he still lived. This whole steel beam went through his brain, and he lived. And other people, they get hit on the head and they die. So, karma is karma. That the time of death is set. It's how you die that is important, and your quality of death and the quality of people around you and how it affects people around you, all that comes in. Okay. And if suicide? No, that's right. Suicide is never how you're supposed to go. Suicide is a choice. It is a bad choice, but it's a choice. Okay, I consider it existential madness. Means you can't. I consider every successful suicide existential madness. It goes back to a philosophy and a theoretical approach of the appreciation for life. And so for me, that's why some people, when they're standing on the edge of the roof, will call for help. Some people, after they've taken the pills, they'll call for help, because those are moments of clarity. And that's why guns make the suicide rate go higher, because when you're using a gun, you don't have a chance to change your mind. You don't have a chance to get sane. You don't have enough time to get sane before when you're pulling the trigger. But if you're walking up the stairs to get to the roof, if you've taken pills, you have time to actually get sane. So for me, the moments of sanity is when they reach out. Existential madness is not that they're crazy. It is that sense of helplessness and hopelessness has created a kind of madness, a focused madness on ending the pain that forgets about life, that forgets about the power of existence. So that's why I call it existential madness. I know it's a bit of it's philosophy for me, because I'm the counselor, I'm dealing with all these clients. I need to understand it in my brain, and that's how I understand it. So what I shared just now is you can take it if you can take it at that level of philosophy, go and read about existentialism. It's amazing kind of philosophy to know about. Then you see what I'm talking about, because this guy survived the concentration camps during World War II. And his story, and he was a counselor after that, and he talked about that the surviving because of love. Love is the main thing that kept him alive, and it's a pretty amazing thing to read if you want to read something about it. So I took that from the existential madness from that theory, and it helps me actually understand theory and understand when I work with clients on suicide. Okay. And why fear COVID if it's not written that we are going to die from COVID? Oh, so why are you afraid of cancer? Why are you afraid of cancer? Because you don't know whether you're going to die or you're going to get sick, and you're going to end up with other problems. We don't know when we're going to die. So if you're going to, why take medicine for cancer? Why take medicine for diabetes? Because we don't know when we're going to die and of what we're going to die. So if we get sick, there's still a chance that we can survive without any side effects. So please take that chance. Okay. There's a chance that you're not going to die from it, but there's a chance that your quality of life could be significantly reduced by getting COVID. Okay. So those are things that we have to actually be concerned about. And it's not just about when you die, it's the quality of your life before you die. That's a big part of it. That quality of your life, and not making other people die. The reason why you're worried about COVID is the spread of COVID. Because you don't wear a mask and you are a carrier, you spread the COVID to how many people? And if you think that there's no karma from that one, good luck with that. There's definitely karma from after you know about it. If you did it ignorantly, you really didn't know, in the first few people, I don't think they had that karma. But now, after everybody knows, and you're supposed to wear a mask, and you're going around without the mask, and you spread COVID, there's definitely going to be karma attached there. Okay. So that's my answer to that one. Sairam, why do some of us remember clearly things from past lives while some others don't? Because of your level of development, and because there is something within that past life memory that is relevant for your current life. Okay. One, it is you have in your past done enough mental connections, and you've done enough meditation or done enough brain activation for you to have a much more clearer memory of your past. Or there is something that needs to be done, that some work that needs to be completed that requires you to have the memory of the past. So either one would work in that situation of why you have past life memory. Again, this one is a bit more on the psychic side of things, but I'm combining both, so I'll answer from a combination of both. All right. Any other questions here? Were there any more questions in the group? I think I've answered the people who posted right now. Danny and Sharon, is there any more questions? I think I've answered the people that posted after the first question.
Yes, sister.
Yes,
there is a question actually.
Okay.
Okay. So the next question is, my mother, sister, and brother hate me. Why do I feel that way? I've been asking for help, but I never get any answers from them.
Okay. First question is, do you like yourself? Is it that you are actually projecting that they hate you because you don't like yourself so much, so you're projecting I'm asking because I don't know who this person is. I'm asking you all to consider a few options. The first one is, you are projecting that people hate you. They don't hate you. Okay, sometimes they think that they are doing the right thing, or they think they are helping you. But actually, that's how they behave. They don't really hate you. Sometimes they don't know how they're treating you. They don't know how to answer that question because they think they're doing the right thing. There's this saying, the path to hell is paved by good intentions. So a lot of people don't know how to treat other people. And they treat other people badly, but they think they're doing the right thing. They think that they're treating you very well. But you're not the same as them. You don't perceive the world the same as them. So then, we get hurt. So again, so sometimes the answers is not them. Sometimes the answer is how you look at it. So if you go like, okay, maybe they just don't know how
sorry,
to treat you.
Dr. A, your voice is a bit static and it's a bit unclear. So people are not able to hear you properly. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. The voice is a bit static.
My voice is static. Is it clearing up now? Or is it still
static? It's still static.
Okay, so let me see when something needs to be charged. Oh yeah, something needs to be charged. 2 seconds, I need to charge my...
Okay, thank you.
I need to charge the booster. Just give me 2 seconds. Okay, does that help? Am I clear again?
No, unfortunately, it's still a bit static.
Okay, there's nothing much else I can do about it. It must be raining somewhere then. If it doesn't settle down, I'm really sorry. I mean, there's not much else I can do. Because, it was fine just now, so maybe it's raining. Hopefully it starts getting better. Okay?
We can hear you. It's just that it's a bit static.
Okay, I can't do much about that. So, I mean, okay, somebody whispered, would I recommend past life regression? Not to be taken too seriously. I've done past life regression and I found it quite amusing. I didn't quite believe it. I thought it, and some of them are fake. So just remember, if you're going for past life regression, out of the 9 people who are doing it, out of the 10 people who are doing it, 9 are pretty much fake. 1 person may be real. So take everything with a pinch of salt, not a pinch of salt, a whole tablespoon of salt. And then if you choose to believe it, believe it. If you choose not to believe it, throw it away. Okay? But just don't believe everything people tell you, please. Okay? Okay, so back to the question of the mother, brother, these people hate me. So you can't change how they're treating you. They, obviously, when you ask them questions, they're not answering a question. But you can change how you perceive their behavior. So instead of going, they hate me, they don't know better. They don't know how to treat me. So you know what? Am I going to let their bad treatment of me affect me after the treatment? That means like they're no longer treating me. Okay, now the event that how they treat me happened in the hall. So now I've left the hall. I've come to my room. I'm sitting in my room now. Do I bring them into my room and then think of other ways to continue the discussion? And why did they say that? How did they say that? So now from the hall, you have the whole discussion and the whole emotions has followed you into your safe space, and you have brought it into your safe space, which is your room or your own private area. And then in your private area, you're redoing all the drama in your head. So, when you're in your private area, it's either like, no, this one needs to stop. You can stop at the door. You're not welcome. These thoughts are not welcome. Again, the same thing I said last time, just offer those thoughts. I can't control them, but I can control how I perceive them. So sometimes the answer is, maybe they don't hate you, maybe they don't know better, they don't know how to treat you. So maybe you can be the bigger person and forgive them for being ignorant. Sometimes you just need to forgive people for their ignorance because we love those people anyway. So because it's your mother and your brother, so I would say that you love them. So hopefully hopefully that helps. Has the audio recovered a bit, or is it still bad? The book on existentialism.
Unfortunately, it's still bad. You're still quite robotic. The static level is quite high.
Okay. I'm trying to move it, but I don't know how to move or where to move to make it better. Because
perhaps if you unmute yourself and then unmute and mute, and let's see if it works.
Has that made it better?
Not yet.
Okay. I'm really sorry. I don't know what else I can do. Okay. As long as it's audible, I suppose I have to go with it. And anyway, I think we are in the last 10 minutes or so of the session, or the last 17 minutes. Sorry. Okay. So, wow, that's going quite fast, but okay. Okay, so the book on book on existentialism is a very old book. It's called oh goodness. Now, okay, of course, this is when the brain suddenly will have the brain will suddenly freeze, and I can't think of the person's name. Okay. Okay, can Danny and I'll just talk for a few seconds? Let me go and refer and find the book for you. 2 seconds. And also maybe I'm going to try and unmute for a little bit longer and see whether that clears it. So maybe if Danny and I can ask the next question.
Yes, it's that.
Actually, we were thinking of doing a short activity with you. If you have any ideas of activities we can do before wrapping up, 1 or 2 more questions, something that you can think of, maybe with emojis or something. Oh, now we can't hear you at all.
I'm muted. I'm looking for something. Give me a minute.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay, Sairam, guys. With Dr. A trying to figure out her audio, maybe if you guys have any more questions that we haven't gotten the chance to collect, kindly keep it with you, and we'll update you in the KBYA chat on how to give out those questions, and maybe we can forward it to Dr. A, or maybe we give you her contact, and then you maybe can personally get in touch with her. However it is, we would update you accordingly.
Has the sound improved at all?
Not yet, doctor.
Still not yet. Okay, last.
Okay. So for now, that's what we can say. And while we wait for the doctor to recover the audio, Sister Sharon, maybe you have anything else to add?
Yeah, perhaps while waiting for the audio or waiting for her to recall the name of the book, is there any words that any of you can share that you've taken from this session? For example, positivity or happiness, or actually trying to forget the word tried and forget the word should. If there anything that you have particularly found interesting and would like to say something about it, please put your viewpoints on the chat. And it's always nice to recap and recall what you have taken with you from this session.
Okay, I've put the name of the book in the Zoom chat. It's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And you can actually get copies online for free because it's a very old book. It was written immediately after World War II. So, and he wrote it in 90 days. He basically got it out of himself in 90 days because he actually wrote it during his time in incarceration in Nuremberg prison, in the concentration camp in Germany. Okay, I'm very sorry, but I can't do much more about the sound. Can y'all pray hard and hopefully that Swami helps? If not, I'm not sure how the activity is going to work with all the the background noise, but I do want to have an activity. Is there a last question? Then I'll do the activity with everybody. Is there a last question, Danny? Have we covered all the questions?
Yes, sister. That was actually the last question. So maybe we could carry on to the activity now.
Okay. So here's the thing. Now, unfortunately the sound is now a slight issue. Should I try with the microphone? Would that help? Let me try putting on the,
sure.
the earphones and see whether that.
Yeah, sure, sister.
Because this one is kind of important.
Yes.
Across everywhere. This is not something that you want people to see you doing when you're doing a Zoom chat. So it's okay, like don't worry, my ego can take it.
I think your ego is not going to hurt at all. It's a very cool headphone. It looks like one gamer. It looks like a gamer full-on headphone. I like it.
I am a gamer, so there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yes,
And my
there you
son would
go.
probably really love you too.
Well, it's called, it's one of the things that got me through COVID, especially the first few weeks of it when we really, because in Malaysia, the lockdown happened and it was quite a serious lockdown. So one of the things that got me through COVID was actually gaming. So, there you go.
There you go. At least during this COVID sessions, during this COVID period, we get to learn something new, even if it's gaming. Why not, right? Makes the time pass way
I was always a gamer even before that, but it's just that during COVID, I gamed a bit more. Because we all were stuck at home and we couldn't go anywhere.
True.
Okay, I don't know whether the audio is actually picking up enough. How do you use this? Is it? I don't think it's even connecting. I'll talk. I want to see whether it's actually going into here. I want to see whether the mic is going into the system. Can you all hear me from there? Is it clearer?
We can hear you, sister, but still there are issues with the audio. Yeah.
The audio is still static.
Yes.
Okay, then it's no point. Okay, so the even this is not working. So it's that unfortunately then it's a Wi-Fi, and it's raining somewhere and I can't do anything about
Hi, sorry, Akka, Lakshmi here. Akka, maybe you just want to leave the call and just rejoin back. It might sometimes help with the Zoom thing.
Sure, I don't mind. I'll try. I hope I don't.
Okay, I hope nobody else leaves, but just for you.
I'm going to leave for a few seconds and then come back in.
Yes, sister.
Dan?
Yes.
Brother Danny?
Yes.
So what was one of the things that you felt that you liked or made you understand something better?
I think it was very practical and it was very straightforward. I think it was very easy to understand, and the fact that the things we never thought of, like for instance, how we react to things. We never thought that, okay, if you were shouting at somebody and your boss walks in, you still stop. That means you know how to control your anger, and the fact that when she said, "Just be happy," because you want to be happy, and I think that's good.
Okay.
I agree. Oh, perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you, God. Thanks, Lakshmi, for that. Much appreciated. Okay, because this one is needed. Okay, everybody get comfortable, and you're going to have to go into, sitting in a position that you're comfortable with. Okay. Since it's a Hindu thing, I am going to use Hindu iconology. If you don't want to use, when I use iconology and you're not comfortable with icons, then you just imagine light and the sun, which is also equivalent. All right. So you don't have to go into using icons, but you don't have to follow for that part. You can just use the sun. You can use light. But now I want everybody to sit in a comfortable position. However you feel comfortable, sit down in a comfortable position. And I want you all to close your eyes and follow my voice. I want you to think of a safe space. Put yourself in your mind. You are in a safe space. It can be on the top of a mountain. It can be in your room. It can be by the seaside. It can be in the jungle. Wherever you feel safe and comfortable. And know that if you're feeling uncomfortable, you can always come back to your safe space. So you're starting from a position where you're feeling safe and you're feeling comfortable. So take a deep breath and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And then, if you choose to do so, say a Gayatri mantra to yourself. I'm going to say a Gayatri mantra once to start, to set the safe space. I'm going to say the Gayatri mantra one time. If you all can follow me in your mind, follow it in the mind. With the idea of my energy and universal energy is combining, and I'm making my own energy stronger. Om Bhurvuvvatsvaha Tatsavitorvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om. So breathe in and breathe out. Now, I want you to look inside yourself. Look, and this time, look for the pain. Look for the parts of you that you don't like. Look for the darkness. Feel the darkness that is inside ourselves. It's a mixture of pain, of guilt, of anger, of agony, of, sometimes it's hatred, self-hatred, hatred for other people, jealousy, whatever it is. Don't be frightened of it. It's an emotion. It's within ourselves. Look for those stuff within ourselves and look at it. You're looking from a safe space. It's not going to affect you right now. You're looking at it. You are looking at it, you're acknowledging it. See where it sits inside yourself. It can be within your heart, it can be lower in the stomach, it can be on your back. Wherever this pain sits, wherever your stress collects, and see what it's like. Something dark and black. For some people, it may be like a dark cloud. For some people, it may be like a swirl of energy, dark energy. For some of you, it may be boxes where you're trying to hide it. Let it out. So just look at it and acknowledge that pain. It's got a shape, it's got a form, it's got all history behind it. And then say, and it's stuck inside. Feel that stuckness inside yourself. And then, is it time to let it go? Is it time to let some of it go? Let it out of yourself. Just ask yourself the question. And if the answer is yes, then follow along for the rest of this as I continue this. So just look at that pain. Now go back to the safe room for a few seconds. Take a deep breath again. You know the pain is there. You know what it looks like. Okay. Now, from the safe room now, imagine in front of yourself this huge flower. It's a beautiful flower. Name it. Whether it's a rose, it's a lotus, it's a lily, it's it's a chrysanthemum, whichever flower you like to name. But name the flower and see the color of the flower. And this flower is huge. It's like 6 feet across. It's a huge flower. It's floating in the air in front of you. Whatever flower it is, imagine it as clearly as you can. Imagine this flower in front of you. You are sitting where you're sitting. You're imagining this flower in front of you. And the flower is floating in the air. Now go back inside yourself and look at that pain. And then with that decision, I don't need this in my life anymore. It's a part of me, but I don't need it in my life. I accept it. It's a part of me, but it's time for it to come out of me. I don't need it stuck here. And you breathe in deeply. And as you breathe out, you imagine that pain, that darkness becoming like a cloud. All that darkness, you're turning it into a cloud or a river, either something that is movable. It becomes something movable. Breathe in. Imagine the darkness, whether it's in boxes, all the boxes start breaking. It becomes something movable. And when you breathe out, you're breathing out that darkness into the flower. And that flower is absorbing the darkness. Breathe it out. Feel yourself breathing out all the darkness. Feel it bubbling up from inside you, coming out of your nose, out of your mouth, into the flower. You're letting it go into this beautiful flower. And as the flower absorbs that pain, the flower absorbs the hate, the anger. As the flower absorbs it, it gets lighter and lighter. The flower gets brighter and brighter as it takes in the pain. As it takes in that pain, the flower gets lighter and lighter. As it takes in the pain, the flower gets brighter and brighter. And as it gets lighter, it starts to float. It starts to move up in the air, higher and higher. And I'd like you to say to yourselves, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I forgive you. I forgive me. I love me. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I forgive you. I forgive me. I love me. Repeat it again and again as you're breathing it out. If you can say it aloud, say it aloud. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. I forgive you. I forgive me. I love me. Breathe it out into the flower and watch the flower start floating higher and higher. And as it's floating higher and higher, the skies part and light comes out. And now you're sitting in a ray of light that's coming from up in the sky, and the flower is heading towards that light. And within that light, see, the forms that forgive. Whether you're seeing Swami, whether you're seeing Amman, whether you're seeing Krishna, whether you're seeing Christ, whatever form that you're seeing, see them waiting for that flower. They're going to come and they're going to accept that flower as an offering. And you just keep breathing out that pain. And then at certain point when the flower is high enough, let the connection between you and that flower go. Let that connection go. And feel that emptiness that is inside there. Once you take away that pain, it feels a bit empty. And then feel the light. The light that Swami is giving, the light that the love is giving, the light that the sun is giving. And that light fills that emptiness now. All that was where the darkness was, now it's filled by the light. Forgiveness, love, compassion. Fill those areas with that light. And watch as that flower goes higher and higher. And it's collected by Swami, it is collected by Aman, and they're smiling at you, they're blessing you, they accept the offering, and they slowly disappear into the clouds. And close your eyes and feel that light. You're now in your safe space. And the empty spaces where the spaces inside you that was once filled with darkness is now with light. And you're safe, and you're forgiving yourself and other people. Breathe in and breathe out. Feel that, experience that. And then when you're happy and you're okay, open your eyes and come back to the room. Okay, I'm going to say the Gayatri Mantra to help people come back to the room. Om Bhuvat Swaha Tat Savitorvarenyam Vargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. You all coming back to the room? Is everybody here? Is it okay? Okay. I'm going to say this. Okay. We are human beings. And we have this very bad habit of offering things and taking it back. The darkness will come back. And every time you feel the darkness, you can actually do this again. The more you do it, the less connected you're going to feel to that heaviness inside yourself. Because a lot of times we feel that heaviness, we don't know what to do with it. So this is one of the activities. I've got a few more, but these are one of the activities that help you take it out of yourself. Okay? I hope that some of you all feel a bit lighter now, and that you feel that I've given you something that is something that you can take and do, and practical, that you can use in your, in the challenges that you face in daily life. And to answer this question of how do I forgive myself? How do I get rid of the pain? This is one of the hows. This is one of the how you do it. There are other house, and not everyone works everything, but this is one of the house that you do it. Okay. So thank you. I know for some people say it is beautiful. I hope it works for some of y'all. I think we have reached the 10 o'clock point in our session, and now let's check.
Well,
Yeah.
first of all, thank you very, 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 very much, Dr. A, for your time and the fact that you actually gave us so much today. That has actually been an extremely insightful session. Really, wow. Wow is the word.
Okay, thank you.
And once again, thank you very much. You've helped us in so many ways in such a short amount of time.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you. And brothers and sisters, as some of the questions that came in were very similar, so we kind of combined them into one question. I hope that we get more sessions with you moving forward.
Yeah.
Before closing, we have some important announcements. We will be having young adult online bhajans this Sunday, commencing at 6:15 a.m. over Zoom. Link will be shared soon. We have launched a Seva project to create an activity book for children with less or no exposure to proper education during this pandemic. Details of which have been posted in our Keluarga Besar Young Adult chat group. Please do take the time to read through it and join us in this endeavor. We have an international project for all the young adults and a national one as well for Guru Purnima. Details will be posted in the group chat. It's going to be a busy few weeks leading up to Guru Purnima. So please do take out time and read the chats accordingly. Having said that, thank you everyone for being a part of this session. I'm sure you enjoyed as much as I did. Let us close the session with 1 Om and 3 Shantis. And I request Sister Sharon to please close our session tonight. Spira.
Before I close, I just would like to again say thank you so much. Lots of people have actually taken the initiative to message, and they will request more you time and more maybe try to contact you. And if that is okay with you, then perhaps we can give your details.
Yeah, I already mentioned it's fine with me. You can give them on WhatsApp, or if you all don't want to, if you don't want Sharon and Danny to know that it's you who's contacting me, it's very easy. Facebook. But when you Facebook and you send the invite on Facebook, please just say how I know you, because if we don't have mutual friends, I will not accept. But if you put a note there like how we met or whatever, then I'll accept. So, but I'm on Facebook. It's under my name, Anasuya Jagadish, and it's a pretty open profile. You can go and see all the kind of nonsense stuff I do there as well.
Okay. Or maybe your email address, perhaps, Doctor?
I think WhatsApp is easier. So for those who are comfortable with it, they can ask you directly. But if not, Facebook is easier. Email address tends to sometimes, you go into
get overlooked,
and God knows where it goes, and
it goes to the junk.
Yeah, because if I don't have your contact, the chances of it going to junk is very high.
Right.
So if you're not on my contact list already, so that's now emails become too protective.
Yes.
I agree. Okay, so it'll be okay for us to hand out your number.
Yeah,
okay.
It's fine. I'm no
Thank you again so very much. Thank you. Okay, we shall close the session. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Sairam, God bless.
Sairam.
Have a good night.
Yeah, good night. Definitely. Have a good weekend. Okay?
You too.
Do stuff I won't do. Enjoy yourselves.
Sure.